welcome back to my channel. I'm Anastasia. I'm a Toronto actor, YouTuber, and a social media manager. I'm heavily involved in this industry. We're gonna talk about a video today that was actually requested by one of my subscribers. And now that I think about it, this is a topic that I've had a conversation with other people in my DMs quite a lot when they're asking me about background acting and principal acting. So I'm really excited to tackle this, so let's get into it. Background acting and principal acting. Can you mix them both together? Can you not do it? What is the situation with it? Now, it's one of those unspoken rules that yes, you technically can do both principal acting and background acting at the same time, but you also cannot at the same time. It's really confusing and I'm like trying to figure out how to like make it clear. So bear with me as I'm gonna go through this video. So background acting is when you are literally the background performer. So you're going to have an agent or you're finding gigs on your own through a background agency and you are getting on these gigs and you are either like the person that's in the restaurant in the back, you are carrying a tray, or you are the person on the street walking. You're just like the performer group of people around you. Background performing also can mean that you can be the stand-in double. This is more of like making sure that you look like the lead character. So if there was a lead character that I look like them, I should say, I could be a stand-in double where whenever you see scenes and the person's back, like lead character's back is to the camera, that sometimes is not the lead character, that's actually the stand-in double, which is considered in the group of background performers. So that also is an option. There's also something called a stand-in as well. When the scene is done, they will bring back like, not the replica of what they look like, but the height is the same. So with the height, this is when the camera tries to level to see if the lead actor and the camera profile is the same, because you don't want to use the lead actor when you're doing that. The lead actor needs to go get changed, get hair and makeup, wait for the next scene, yada, yada, whatever. And that's where you use the background performers that are the exact same height as the lead characters. So there's 3 different ways you could be doing this background acting gigs. Now, principal acting, we obviously all know what principal acting is. You are the lead actor, you are the secondary, you're the guest star, you're the one-liner, whatever it is, that's the principal actor, meaning that you are there on camera, you had to audition for your part and you booked it, whether it was a self-tape or Zoom audition or live, whatever, you went through a second like casting call, it doesn't matter. You went through an audition process to get the role, whether you had a principal agent, not a background agent, but a principal agent, and you got it, or you found it on your own. You can do that as well, but that's kind of basically the difference between background acting and principal acting. You can have a career in both. Obviously the principal acting, you will go farther in it. This is like when, you know, you're getting the big parts, the big Netflix stuff, Paramount Pictures, Universal, whatever. Background, if you are well known in the background community, I've met people on set that have been doing background for so long and it is their literal full-time job. They're constantly being booked. They have a great relationship with the casting directors that cast background and they're just being called constantly. Some of them don't even have agents. They literally just get called straight from the casting director being like, hey, can you be on set for 3 months? And they're like, sure, and they have a gig for 3 months. For some people, they can do it that way. And you can work your caliber up to there as well. The thing is about background acting, if you are going down the route where you have been booked and you are going to be on camera, you cannot be auditioning for that show as a principal actor as well. Because once your face is seen as a background performer on camera, you cannot be seen as a character now as well in the principal acting world. Now, there are exceptions. For example, you can be booked as a background actor, let's say for like a 3-month gig, and you are going to be consistently in there as a background performer for 3 months, and you can get upgraded where they're like, you know what, give that background performer a line or give that performer an action directly into the camera or whatever, and then you will be now bumped to a one-liner. Maybe they really enjoyed the one line that you did, so they're like, you know what, let's keep her on here and give her a few more lines here and there in the scenes. Then the upgrade continues. And it has happened, I've heard of stories where the background performer was literally a background performer and then went up, did a one line, then did another line in another episode, and then the the performance ended up being like a full-blown character later on and into the story. These are situations that can happen, but I'm primarily talking that you are getting booked by your background agent into the background gig, and then you're also getting booked by your principal agent into the gig as well, into the same show. This is a big, big, big no. What will happen is they're gonna know that you were on there for background. This gets back into casting, then this also gets back to your agents, both in the background agent and then your principal agent, and it looks really bad on you. And I've heard of scenarios where this has happened and the principal agent ended up dropping this actor because they're like, well, you weren't supposed to do this and you made me look bad, essentially is what it was. And what did happen is that this particular actor that I've heard of that's done this, they've done this more than once. This is like a consecutive thing where they were booking background roles and booking principal for the same show, and it was like happening more than once. And so I guess the agent at that point was like, no. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you have to be really careful to maneuver it how you want to make it work. Now, if you got booked to be in that stand-in double, you actually will never be on camera. They will never shoot you because all you do is come in as soon as the scene is done, you stand in for the next scene. When they start rolling, the lead actor comes back in and you're never using the actual camera. That is different. That you for sure can continue auditioning for the show or the movie or whatever, because you're never actually, they never record your face. You're never actually recorded on the camera or on scene or anything like that. So there's no issue for you to continue auditioning into that movie or show. Same goes for the back, because like, nobody can tell that it's your back. Like, let's be real here. How many times I'm not gonna, because the whole entire point is it's supposed to look like the lead actor. So I know for a fact that there's been so many times when I watch the show or movie and it looks like it's literally the lead actor and turns out it's not. It's a background stand-in double for the lead actor, and you could never tell because that's just how good the twinning they got going on there, so you can't even tell. That is something you can also get away with by auditioning for the show as a principal and then doing background at the same time. When you're with your principal agent, I really highly recommend saying that honesty is the best policy. You want to do background and that's fine. And I would tell your agent that you're interested in doing background, A, because that is really good cash, especially if you're union. You make pretty good money on it. The upgrades can be really good. It's good exposure. You get to learn a lot of things. And when the overtime comes in, like the pay is not bad, especially when they have penalties, like a meal penalty, a late penalty, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So the money is not bad. So I do understand as an actor in general how you'd want to do the background, but it's very important that you do have this conversation with your agent to have them understand that this is something you're interested in doing and to see what their reaction is. I also recommend for you to look into your contract. I know some agents are like super XXX about it, meaning that they will literally have it in their contract that you cannot do any background gigs. So make sure you also read your contract and what it says. Some agents don't say that. It's more of a conversation you need to have with them, but still, this is very important for you to take a look at. If there's a specific show, for example, that's filming and you're constantly auditioning for it, I highly recommend for you not to do background gigs for it, because if you are auditioning for that show, that means the casting director likes what you have, likes your look, likes what you're doing, and they want to keep bringing you into the room until they find the right role for you. So that's kind of where you're most likely going to get booked eventually on this role. Now, if you did a background gig, you just ruined your chance into being on that show without having any issues. Now, yes, I've had background gigs in my lifetime where I was booked on there as a background actor and I came on set, and for 14 hours of the day, I never was used once. I never left the background holding area once because they never ended up needing me. That has happened, but this is rare, guys, like really, really rare. Like 1 out of the 50th 100 background gigs that I've done, I've had that happen. So most of the time you will be used, whether it's for 30 seconds or for 10 hours, you do not know these things. So if you're constantly auditioning for a show, I don't recommend for you to also be doing background on there. I used to do background acting during COVID a lot. I've stopped the last 2 to 3 years because I've hit a different level of auditioning that I'm auditioning constantly, and I'm auditioning for things that are big stuff. That to me is where I'm at in my life, where I don't need the background. I don't find that it's giving me any importance or helping me grow. So instead, I want to concentrate more on doing the principal acting. I still do have my background agencies that I'm signed up with. I never left them because I thought, well, whatever. I mean, it doesn't hurt to be on their roster. So I'll just keep going, and if something pops up, I don't mind. I was auditioning for the show Ripple 7 times. And by the 7th or 6th time, I don't remember, at the end of the year, that's the show that I was on hold for a part. And funny enough, around that same time, my background agency called me and said, can you go on this show called Ripple and be a background performer? I could have said yes, but But I didn't, because I've already auditioned for the show 7 times and I auditioned for legit characters. So I was like, my booking is coming very close for the show. I feel it. And with that being said, if I said yes for a background gig, I wouldn't be able to do the both. So I do not recommend you doing this if you know that you've been auditioning for the show or even for the movie. If you have auditioned for like 3 different parts for a movie, I probably wouldn't do the background for the movie if you've auditioned for it a lot as well. So these are things that you have to watch out for and make a decision for yourself. What is more important? Speaking of what is more important, this kind of ties in with one of my points that I have here. What stage are you at in your acting career? This is a question I think you need to sit down, think to yourself, write it out, because like I talked about in my like Ripple show story, during COVID, I needed a lot to learn. And during COVID, I was growing and I needed to kind of understand how things worked in this sort of world, and especially in like the film and television world, because I came from a theater background. I wanted to do the background acting because I learned a lot being on set and I understood how this whole world of film and TV worked. And the only way I really got the best experience was being as a background performer. And also, I actually, LOL, was fired by my agent during COVID. And so I didn't even have an agent. So I was like, I'll just do all the background gigs I can. Then when I got an agent in the middle of COVID, I was honest with them. I was like, hey, I am doing background. They were kind of like not ideal, but it is what it is. They also said, let me know the shows that you end up doing background for. I will not put you up for those auditions. So that is something that you can do if your agent is chill with you doing background gigs. Besides the point, that was one of the conversations that I had to have with myself, that when I started auditioning for a higher level stuff, and my new agent that I have now that I've had for just under a year, he's great. He puts me out for some really great stuff that I'm like, I don't need the background anymore. I don't feel that this is a point in my career and in my life that I need to continue doing background, because it doesn't fulfill me anymore. It doesn't bring me anything. And the money is really not a thing for me when it comes to the background. I'm like, I have other things that I want to make money from, and it's not the background acting. Now, if you talked to me 4 years ago, it would have been a different story. So this is where I ask you, what stage are you at in your career? Do you feel that the background is important to you? Do you feel that you will grow and learn by being on set as a background performer? You will come to a point in your life and in your acting career, if you are doing principal acting, that you'll have to weigh out both the background and the principal. And that way you can kind of make a decision for yourself of what makes sense for you and where you want to move forward. Another big thing that can play when it comes to this is what kind of union status you're at. I'm specifically talking about the Toronto market, like the Canadian market, because ACTRA are union. You as a non-union background performer, you can go for union gigs, but it's the same circle that they have to fill the space with a certain amount of union background performers first. Then they put it into the apprentice, which is like when you have 1 or 2 credits, and then they do non-union. So if they can't fill with union and apprentice, then they will open it up to non-union. Now, I would recommend, if you are starting out in this industry, for you not to become union because of background. You want to become union because you booked union commercials and because you booked union gigs. Basically, when you're booking union gigs, you're building your caliber and you're making yourself known with casting directors and with agents, producers, whatever, and they see you. When you got your union status through background, you've essentially missed a bunch of steps and you're now playing in a really big field where you may not be ready for it and you end up sort of missing your chance. It's harder to get in because they don't know who you are. So I recommend that if you are union and you became union because of background, I would consider, if you want to do principal, maybe starting as non-union, meaning you have to let go of all your union status in order to be non-union, and starting from there, from like the principal acting. Now, if you are non-union as a background performer, you can still go out for union gigs for both background and principal acting. So there is an option. I actually had a conversation with an actor not too long ago, because there was an industry event on Monday night that I went to, and he said something really interesting. He's an incredible actor, like super, super good. And he's done so many good things. And he's gotten a lot of non-union stuff, and he is non-union. He's trying to break into the union world, but he's having a really difficult time of breaking into the union world. And he was like, I'm seriously considering doing background gigs and booking my union through background gigs so that I'm in the union. And I was like, honestly, yes, because you have been doing acting for so long and you're so good at it. I don't think you're gonna miss anything if you went through the kind of like the looping around and getting a union status that way. But if you were like fresh off the boat, you don't even know what a self-tape tape is I do not recommend for you jumping into the union world by getting that union status through background gigs. Like I said, recommend having a conversation with your agent to understand where you're at. I wouldn't be so taken aback if your agent does say no. It is a thing, and I've met agents that are like a big no on doing background, and you have to understand from their perspective as well. This gives them more work to work with because now they're not going to make money off of you if you're constantly doing background on shows, because now they can't put you out for auditions for that, which means if you don't book a show, they don't get money out of it either. They don't get an hourly pay anywhere. They literally only make the commission based on the show or TV or commercial or theater gig that you end up booking. So to answer your question in like a smaller way, yes, you technically can do both background and acting at the same time, but agents really don't recommend it because it gets very messy in between the lines, like very messy as I explained it. It does get really difficult for you to also keep track of it as well. I think you need to decide for yourself what is more important for you. Is it the learning, the growth, the experience on the set? Is it money? Because that is a big play of it as well. Or are you willing to let that go because you feel like you're at a status that you're able to continue, move forward, and hit the principal acting into a new level? Honeys, as I always mention, I do have my website. I do my consultations on there. So if you are looking for something that is more personalized to you, I will take a look at your headshots. I'll take a look at your package. If you don't even have a package and you want to decide how to make one, you want to decide where to go in your journey and kind of figure it out, you know where to book me. You can go find me on my website and we can kind of go from there. Anyways, I love you, honeys. If you have any more questions, please comment down below. I am excited for next week. I'm also wearing pink because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Yay! I am working, so it really sucks. Love you, honeys, and I'm gonna see you all next Friday. Bye, honeys.